This is Leah Klett with the Christian Post, and I'm so excited to be here today with filmmaking brothers Alex and Stephen Kendrick. They are behind so many incredible faith-based films, and their latest, called Lifemark, is out this September. And what a beautiful movie it is, and just incredibly timely. And I
Yes.
love that it is based on a true story. So I know adoption is personal for you. I
Yes.
want to hear how you guys got involved with this story and why you decided to bring it to the big screen.
Well, we were contacted in 2019 and shown a short documentary called I Lived on Parker Avenue. And it just melted our hearts. It was incredible. Basically, it's the story of an 18-year-old girl in the 90s. And she was on the abortion table clinic. I'm on the abortion table at a clinic. And at the last second, she stopped the doctor from starting the procedure. And she says that she felt like she heard a voice saying, "Get up, there's still time." So she stopped the procedure, got off the table, placed that baby for adoption. A Christian couple that could not have their own children adopted this baby they named David. When David grew up, about 18 or 19 years old, he crossed paths with his biological mother. And that was filmed. And the biological mother thought he would hate her, and the opposite happened. He just wrapped her up with this hug and sobbed with her and said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you for choosing life, for letting me be adopted. I love my family. I'm so grateful." And it just melted her heart as well. We saw that encounter, and then we were able to meet all the family members that were a part of that. It's a beautiful story. Now, there's other interesting aspects as well, but we made this into a feature film with Kirk Cameron, and just loved it. And this is our first movie based on an actual true story. And we just think that God's timing is perfect. Who knew in our culture that Roe versus Wade would be overturned this year, and that the opportunity for churches to step up in their ministry in this arena would be happening. So we hope this movie encourages individuals, encourages churches, and anyone just that's considering, do I have the baby? Do I place it for adoption? And so we were so encouraged by this movie. Kirk Cameron has 4 adopted children of his 6 himself. His wife was adopted. My brother Stephen has adopted one of his children, beautiful girl. And so we just see the value of life. God is the creator. He gives us the gift of life. Let's honor him with it. And so we can't wait to see what happens with Lifemark.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you guys had no idea Roe versus Wade was going to be overturned when you tackled the story.
And we've seen with every one of our films that God's timing is perfect, and we're just in the bus hanging on for the ride, because in 2019, after Overcomer was being released, we're praying, "God, what do you want us to do next?" And he routed us to a documentary about fatherhood, which became Show Me the Father. And then this movie, Lifemark, based on a true story. We were kind of scratching our heads saying, why should we get off of this regular path that we've been on of writing original stories like War Room and Overcomer and Courageous, and head down this path? But there was this sense of rightness and peace about it. And we had no idea the divine timing, because right now with Roe v. Wade being overturned, it's now dropping down to the state level. And you've got believers and churches and communities that need to be reminded of the beauty and the compassion that they can demonstrate to girls that are in unwanted pregnancies, to the unborn that have no one speaking up for them, to families that will need to step up and demonstrate compassion and concern at every level. And the beauty of adoption, what an opportunity for us to practice James 1:27, that pure religion is to take care of the widows and orphans in our communities. And I think that the timing is right. People keep saying after they've seen the film, this is divine timing. This is exactly what people need to see. But the movie also is entertaining. People are going to laugh. They're going to cry. They're going to be inspired. They're going to be able to watch an inspirational true story. You can't argue with a true story. This is exactly what happened. And so for us to be able to craft a story in a way that will reach hopefully teenagers, that will reach moms and dads, and encourage the next generation to think differently and at another level concerning all of these issues.
Absolutely. We'll talk about that balance too. And I think you guys did this really well of being empathetic to people who may have had an abortion
Yes.
or thinking about an abortion, but also highlighting the horrors of what abortion is. I think, I can't remember seeing a movie that shows an abortion clinic in this way. So how did you guys find that balance?
So yeah, so it is a sensitive subject for sure, but at the same time, the church and the body of Christ has to be willing to address all of this, and we do so with love and compassion, but with truth. And sometimes the truth is hard to process, but we've got to go there. And so we are now in a position to say, when Scripture says to stand for the innocent and fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, that God in Psalm 139, that God knows us in the womb, and He knows us before we're born. He knows everything about us, and He values us. For us to stand for the unborn, the focus in our culture is so much on the rights of the mom, the rights of the mom. But what about the rights of this developing life in the mom? So we do want to show compassion, and we want to show respect, but at the same time, we want to stand for life. And the path of adoption is so beautiful, as this movie shows. And again, it's a true story. So we're basically showing what really happened in the circumstance. And yes, people can come up with the side views, the side sometimes events that happen. Or what about a young child that finds themselves in this scenario, a 13, 14-year-old girl? What do? We do have to address those, but we can't ignore the biggest picture, that most abortions happen because people just say, I don't want to be pregnant, and it's an inconvenience, and I want to, get rid of this. So life is beautiful. It's a gift from God, and we want to remind people that He is the maker of life, and He has a love for all of us, and that there is hope for all of us. So we want to put the focus on the biggest part of this issue and say, we have to stand for life. And when we want to do so with truthful love. And so we're excited about Lifemark. And just as a side note, if people want to see the trailer, want to see more about the story, you can go to lifemarkmovie.com and even find tickets. It comes out September 9th in theaters.
Well, I'm sure you're going to hear, well, you're just preaching to the choir with this movie, right? But that's not necessarily true. I think with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, we've seen a lot of people kind of waffling on this issue. And studies show that especially the younger generation, even of professing believers, they're afraid of offending people, right? So talk about why the church needs to be reminded, no, we have to be firm on this issue. Why do we need to be bold?
Well, love, if you read 1 Corinthians 13, it always protects. And that's one of the attributes. Love will cause you to value someone so much that you want God's best for them in every area of their lives. And as a result of that, Jesus came and died on the cross out of love. It was awkward, uncomfortable, shameful, embarrassing, painful, everything that He went through. But love drove Him and motivated Him to lay down the greatest sacrifice to meet our greatest need. And you will see moms, as you know, get up in the middle of the night and nurse a child when she wants to roll over and go to bed out of love for that infant. You will see soldiers, out of love for their country, travel to foreign lands and lay down their lives for their friends, their comrades, and their freedoms. And so love causes us to think clearly, and it causes us to think compassionately and courageously. And at the end of Lifemark, in theaters, we've recorded an interview and we've talked with compassion about what if women have had abortion, how can they heal? Because we care about them. We're not here to guilt or shame anybody. We're here to help bring healing and hope and forgiveness and compassion. And so we talk about what communities can do and what churches can do at the end of the film as well. And so it is our desire to demonstrate God's love to everybody in every political perspective, but that causes us to speak the truth. And truth sometimes, especially if you hate truth, it's going to sound like hate when someone is telling you this is wrong and we need to choose what's right in this situation. And every generation has to come to the revelation of reaching out and caring for those that can't care for themselves. And so all you have to do is flip it around, like Jesus said, and practice the golden rule. You're like, what if I was in the womb and had no voice? Would I want people speaking up for me? What if I was pregnant and had an unwanted pregnancy and I'm afraid and I don't know what to do. What would I need the church to do for me in that situation? You know, what if I was born and didn't have a mom and a dad? What would I need? So practicing the golden rule causes you to engage oftentimes with clarity. And so this film shows a wide perspective, really of compassion. This movie doesn't really beat up abortion. It promotes adoption. And it shows what would happen if a girl who's afraid chose courage, chose compassion for her unborn, even if she couldn't raise it herself. What could happen? And the true story beautifully lays it out. So we think people are going to love the movie. We think they're going to be entertained. They're going to be inspired. They will leave emotionally full and challenged, and they'll probably walk out thinking, I know other people that I want to bring back to see this film.